Hi, I'm here to talk to you about improving search with relevance dashboards. Um, Getting good relevance is hard. It's extremely important in not just an e-commerce setting or a website setting, but also in an enterprise search setting. But it's often not clear what bells and whistles are available to you to improve it, or what measure to use to understand how well relevance is working. Um, And you can't improve what you can't measure. So at Pureinsights, we've developed a methodology that allows you to make more informed decisions by measuring some specific types of data and building some analytics dashboards around that to get some better intelligence about how well search is working. So why do we do this? Well, standard methods are somewhat problematic. Often we find that our clients are using A/B testing, so just comparing two sets of config, and they might be using a golden query set, a standard set of queries or key documents, maybe the top 100 queries or queries that return 0 results to try and understand how well ranking is working, essentially by eyeballing it. Or perhaps they might be using some of the standard measures like precision and recall or normalized discounted cumulative gain, which require you to sort of curate the expected set of results to then do a calculation for how many of them are you getting back and how many irrelevant results are you getting back and what positions are they in. And in e-commerce, it's even more sort of abstract. Often our clients will look at abandonment rates or conversion rates, bounce rates, repeat customers, order value, and general sort of NPS scores. Those are all kind of proxies that measure how well is the system working overall, and not really looking at ranking at all, really, although ranking and relevance will obviously contribute to that. So these measures are indirect, they're subjective, they're low fidelity or granularity. They often don't cover all of the queries or results. And in some cases, they can be very time consuming, especially if you're reviewing result sets or trying to curate target results in order to calculate some of the measures. So we use something that just where we measure the queries and the clicked on results and the position of those to calculate something called a relevance score. So if everybody got the result they were after in position 1, you get a perfect relevance score of 1. In practice, people don't have that. You might have to go to page 6, for example, and click down the bottom to find the one that you're actually interested in. And then you'll get a lower relevance score. But if we can improve that position for all clicked results, then our search system is doing better. It's the results are appearing nearer the top, and maybe we're getting from page 6 to page 4, and then somebody doesn't abandon things and does actually find what they're interested in and buy something, whereas previously they wouldn't have done. So it's important, and it impacts the bottom line, especially in e-commerce type settings. And then when we gather that data, we can slice and dice it to look at users and sessions, content types, different queries, the system as a whole, or the config or product version that we've just rolled out, different regions and subcategories to understand how well the search engine is performing for those different areas. And the way we do this is a scientific approach. We study the system and compute the metrics. We store them maybe in log files or something similar. We evaluate the results, so we perform these calculations of engine score. We form a hypothesis, make a modification, and go round the loop again to understand what impact has that change made. And this graph here, we've got a series of 95 experiments which were done in very quick session to kind of tweak config and understand what impact that has on the rank position of the clicked results. Just gradually optimizing, essentially, changing the query types, tuning field weights, adding a thesaurus, finding maybe a bug or a glitch, a date error, tuning the date bias functions, waiting for authors, that sort of thing. And we can see that the line over time improves. So this means that across all of the queries, things have moved up in terms of the rankings. So let me show the dashboard that we tend to use for this stuff. It's got at the top here a global rank score. We've got the number of records that we're looking at the time, the mean and average rank position, and then this histogram here, which shows for the top 20 or so rank positions, how many clicks were there in each position. This is a synthesized data set representing some B2B business data. So often it might be a bit messier than this dashboard, but it will give you the idea. And then down here, we've got different configuration experiments. So 1 through 5, you can see that this has been successful improving the rank score, going from 0.5 here to just under 0.8 here. So it's getting closer to pushing right up to the top. So if I apply a filter here, and if you keep an eye on this histogram in the middle, you'll see the reason for that is we've got a lot more clicks in position 1 in this this result set, whereas if I go to version 1, which is our starting point, again, look at the histogram in the middle, you'll see that it's all kind of right shifted. Everything's just a bit lower down the rankings. Now, this is very condensed into the top 20 results. You can imagine that in a real scenario, you might have maybe 80 different rank positions, the top 8-10 pages, something like that. And then we can drill into that to understand using these pie charts. If we wanted to filter out the internal users and just look at our customers, for example, probably a good idea. And then we might want to just focus in on, let's say, Japanese customers working in, let's say, R&D. Now, then we know how well the search system is working for them, whether we have any additional work to try and improve the thesaurus, add some keywords, maybe add some additional data. We work out that they're not able to find some of the things that we might want them to find. And then the dashboard allows us to slice and dice in all sorts of ways by, organization and job title, by the amount of revenue tied to a specific query, which is extremely powerful. When do the queries appear? I've got a filter applied here, but if I just, I've got several filters, but if I remove these, you would just see that there's a nice sort of periodic set of queries coming in. The different versions of engine scores here plotted on a graph over time. You can see that sort of upwards curve as we've improved things. We can look at the most clicked on products, which are the most clicked on categories and sort bys, which are the queries leading to the most purchases. This is all quite powerful stuff. And then moving further down, it's a bit less graph based, but also extremely interesting. Which are the lowest scoring frequent queries? So the ones where ranking is not working so well, but they're very frequent queries. So that would be an area for attention, for example. And then there's more ways of looking at the engine score per department, per region, all that sort of stuff. Right down to at the bottom here, we can look at our user who's done the most queries. Maybe they work in procurement or something, and they've done zillions of queries. Start to look at how well is the system working for them? What did they query for? What were they looking for? Which regions were they in? When did they do it? All that sort of stuff. All of this stuff allows us to make hypotheses and decisions about what's working best within our search engine, and then we can optimize it by adding synonyms, changing content, adding queries, and maybe changing the way that we construct the queries to try and improve it in the areas where we think it's not performing as well as it might. And that's what I wanted to show you. I hope that was useful. And any questions, just get in contact with us at Pureinsights.